What is going on, y'all? This is the Caveman. I'm here with Football with Oz Austin for episode 101 of Against the Blitz. And today we are doing the wide receivers for the 2026 NFL Draft and looking at the top 10 on the mock draft database website and going through, giving you our thoughts, our rankings, our player comparisons, as we have been for every position as we've done so far. And this is one of the most fun positions to do. We're planning on doing two separate episodes for this position because it's so deep and there are some guys that you just simply won't get to in one episode if you only do 10. So that's our plan. But before we get into it, Austin, I wanted to ask you, if you worked for a company that was, let's say, making $100 million in revenue per month,
okay,
or per year, a very wealthy company, and March rolls around, where March Madness exists, and they decide to send out an email saying that enter the March Madness bracket that the whole company could participate in with three prizes. The first place prize is, I think, $200 to the company merchandise store and $500 to a charity of your choice. Second place is $150 to the company merchandise store. And then third place is $100 to the company merchandise store. How would you feel about that?
I wouldn't even do it. Like, what company merchandise do I want?
I know.
What company is doing that?
Mine.
Your company?
Yes, I was insulted. I've been ranting about it for the past 2 days to people, and they're like, well, they don't have to give anything out at all. I'd rather them not do it at all. If that's what the prizes are going to be.
Like if I come to you with a game idea, like Squid Games, and I'm like, you get $6 if you win. Like, are you going to be that interested? Probably not.
I know.
Like, I know 200's a lot more, but like when it's a $100 million company, like per month, then like it's kind of insulting if you throw like $100 in a sandwich at me. Like, getting the number one bracket, if we're talking like hundreds of staff members putting in a bracket, like I could get a little more than that.
I thought I was crazy when I'm telling people this and they're like disagreeing with me. I'm like, they make so much money per year, this company and the corporate heads, and they have the nerve to offer scam bucks as the prize. Like, who wants the company polo t-shirts? Like, people are like, to be fair, they can't give out cash. I said they could give out a gift card to something.
Yes. Yeah. Give me like a 150 in Culver's bucks and we're good.
I know.
I'll take Cole's cash. I mean, I don't care. I just don't want a company khaki. I don't care about it. Like, I don't need a koozie.
Right.
I have enough. I need a cup holder. I don't need, like, it's so stupid.
I found that shit to be like insulting, like downright insulting to even send out in an email. That is like ridiculously tone deaf.
Yeah.
Well,
that's bad.
It was so bad. And it's like, you know what? I'm all for donating to charity, but they can't just throw the $500 to the charity. You got to make the people that make much less, those lower wages, take the winning prize to throw to, like, come on. Like, I feel like that's also pretty damn shallow. Maybe of me too, but of them on top of it. Like, this is your opportunity to donate, is by making the person that wins the March Madness bracket, which you already have a very low percentage of doing, and then donating it. Like, that is such a fucking slimy way to go about a donation. Like, there's no doubt that was how they decided to do it.
All right.
Well, I had to rant about that because it's just been on my mind, and I was baffled that people are like finding reason to disagree with me.
Yeah, they'll just take the company shirt. Whatever.
Like, go ahead, you take it then. I don't fucking want it. I'm not doing your stupid bracket. All right. Well, enough of that. How have you been? How about that? That was my anger.
I mean, good. I mean, I've been spending hours, probably 8 hours total, trying to figure out my bracket, I would say. And I'm only doing one. I'll submit like one to multiple groups and stuff, like my friends or like whatever, but one bracket total. So when I'm watching the game, I can't be like, well, in this bracket, I have them winning, and in this bracket, I have this happening. I have one thing happening, and I know all of it off the top of my head currently.
Holy shit.
I get
You
for
know
second
every
time
single winner of every matchup off the top of your head?
that I picked. Yeah,
Wow.
put a lot of time into this.
I didn't know you were this invested into March Madness. Are you usually?
No,
Oh.
but I'm bored as shit. So yeah, I'm into it now.
Well, who do you have winning?
Arizona.
Arizona. That seems to be the pretty popular pick. I know. I don't know jack shit. I chose Georgia, and then people started to laugh at me. So I decided
you should do Georgia.
I have in my Final Four still, but I pivoted to Houston. I just counted whatever team had the most top 100 prospects on whatever website I found. And
In football?
I think Houston. No. Jerk, in basketball, and I found that Houston had like 4 or 5. So I'm like, all right,
okay,
you look good. So that's enough for me.
Rocket.
Well, let's get into some football here. And we'll just go through this. There's no really rhyme or reason to the order. They're just kind of here. So don't look into it too deeply. And with that said, we will start with Jordyn Tyson, the Arizona State wide receiver. And I went into Jordyn Tyson completely open-minded. I know he's a very polarizing player, as a lot of these guys are, but him particularly, because no one really knows what Jordyn Tyson is going to end up being. It feels like the ranges of outcomes with him are very, very large, very wide. And for me, I came away with a top 25 grade on Jordyn Tyson. And he reminded me a lot of like the 7-game span of Michael Wilson we got, where he just makes these crazy circus body catches that are where he's twisting in the air or he's turning back to the ball. And I think something that he'll be able to do more in the NFL when he's kind of utilized properly is just more middle of the field work. Like we saw a lot of Michael Wilson, in the middle of the field, turning his back and just, boxing out and making a catch in traffic. And I feel like we didn't see enough of that with Jordyn Tyson in college, but it's something that he most certainly is capable of as far as I'm concerned. And obviously just he's so spectacular at the catch point, and that's really the most fun part about him. And I think, like I said, the range of outcomes are large, but especially in this class particularly, I wouldn't have a problem if he was, the second receiver off the board or the third. I mean, anywhere, or maybe the 5th or 6th if people are that worried about the injury history.
Yeah, that's been my thing, because he was my wide receiver 1 going into the year, because I think his 2024 tape was better. And I think a lot of that had to do with a hamstring injury he was kind of nursing all year. We didn't really get to see a fully healthy Jordyn Tyson outside of a couple games. And he looked really good in those games. And there's some times where you can see a difference, especially like in his burst. But I think the number one thing that I came away with sad was the after the catch stuff, because he has the smoothness and like the movement ability to be really good there. But I think of all the receivers I watched, he might be like the worst at making a man miss. And it was really weird because the way that he runs his routes, he's really good at it, and he moves very well, and he's very fluid. So I was kind of shocked to see that he wasn't good after the catch. He did a lot better, I wrote down, at not dropping the ball. 2024 was a huge concentration drop problem. This year it was a lot better. I still think he's very average at a lot of things. I think he's like average athlete, average size. I think even though he's a good route runner, he's still like an average separator, because I don't think he handles physicality all that well from like big, strong corners. But I am willing to bet on the route running and just like the toughness that he plays, like how he'll just throw himself at the football no matter what. He is going to go try and get it at the very least. And I really like that about him.
Agreed. Yeah, I had a lot of the similar thoughts, especially he's good at separating when he has space, and I think he will be best between the 20s. I think when you ask him to get into those tight condensed areas, that's where I think he'll have a little bit more of an issue. And I really, like I've said in past episodes, I don't do too much research beyond 2025, which I've admitted is a blind spot of mine, but there's too many players to fucking watch. All right. That's just way more time than I got.
Yeah. And
I did write down that I felt like a lot of the catches he made, he let hit his body. Like he's got a body catching, body trapping, I guess, problem, if you will. So that does track then. But, I also wrote down Michael Wilson for the same reason that it took him a while to kind of find his footing to really, become something in the NFL. And I think that could be the case with Jordyn Tyson too. It's like he's not refined, especially when it comes to being a separator. So if he's able to carve a way into the middle of the field, I think that will be the biggest thing to breaking through at the NFL level, because there's really a lot of vertical stuff, a lot of between the 20 stuff. But if he's really able to become that sort of threat between the hashes, it'll be where he unlocks his game, I think.
I think that's where he has to be. I think his game struggles to project as a contested catch guy, especially like you said, with the body catching. I think he has good body control and he tracks it well, so he can get away with it, similar to how Marvin Harrison did in college. But I think in the NFL, if you don't jump up and use your hands, there are very few receivers in the NFL today that can exist in that kind of role without high pointing. So I do kind of like him more, into like motioning him into free releases, letting him go to work, because he is a very nuanced player when he has space. Like you said, it's just when he's got a body on him, that's his size. I have a little more concern about that.
I don't know if you realized it, but I feel like every single time he ran an out route, he won the rep. This is like the best 10+ yard out route runner I think I've ever seen in my life. Like it was something I continued to track. And I wish I would have had the wherewithal to like tally how many times he ran it and how many times he made a grab. Like I said, beyond 10 yards, he's not running like a 4-yard speed out against soft coverage. Like he is beating guys with rocker steps at the top. And it's like, it's every single time. I'm like, how is this still working?
I think he's the best red zone route runner too in this class.
You think so?
He gets open really easy in the end zone, especially when he was healthy. And it felt like they were all in the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. He's definitely the most clutch player. Like I think he won his team the most games of anyone on this list.
Really?
I mean, there was multiple times we'd text like in the Discord, like, "Oh my God, Tyson did it! He won them the game. Like he won them the TCU game. Like he won them multiple games off the top of my head."
Wow.
So he's a clutch player, big game guy for sure. Yeah. For him, it's really just going to be the injuries and just taking the next step of actually like refining his skills, because I think he's nuanced mentally. I just think a lot of the technique and the way that he runs his routes is kind of TikTok-y. I'd like to see a little bit more professionalism in there, but he's got the goods for sure.
I like it. Well, Jordyn Tyson, where would you said you wrote down you comped him to Ricky Pearsall. I guess probably the injury stuff too is a big part in that.
Yeah, kind of. I think it's similar career tracks too, right? I do think there's a chance he starts off a little slower because I don't know. I think there is just learning to be had, but I think he does have a very natural ability to play the position that just works really well in his own head, like Ricky Pearsall, where like he just finds a way to attack the football. He finds a way to win as a route runner. He's just slippery and he's gritty, but there's still a lot of things they have to work on to reach that top 10 level.
Yeah. Fair. How about Makai Lemon? Let's hear it.
Lemon. I like Makai Lemon a lot. I think he's a guy that would be a 3rd round pick like 6 years ago. But because of the way that the NFL is moving with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith and Jigba, these kind of receivers are now a premium. And someone like him that is so good after the catch, he's so crafty really in everything he does, and he's so quick and he's so tough that I think people are willing to look past the size. They're willing to look past, that he probably won't win downfield very often in the NFL. But that slot, that motion receiver wins in today's NFL. So I gave him a Golden Tate comp because I don't foresee him being an X receiver. I don't foresee him winning downfield a ton. But I do foresee teams just giving him the ball in space and letting him be a menace after the catch.
Yeah, Makai Lemon, like you said, is everything that today's NFL is looking for. And especially we're at the peak of like slot receiver powers right now in terms of who we have dominating the league. And I went with rookie Keenan Allen, and it's very specifically rookie Keenan Allen for obvious reasons. because he was younger, he was quicker, he was better after the catch. Obviously, 95% of his career, he wasn't that great after the catch. But early on, he was very solid. And the biggest thing to me that struck me about Lemon, I was like trying really hard to think of who it reminded me of. It was the way he hits the blind spot of the defensive back so well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that is something Keenan Allen mastered throughout his entire career, and why even as he got older, he was so successful, because he had a great feel for coverage, of course, but he understood how to turn a defensive back around. And obviously a lot of great route runners have that innate ability, but it just like was the way he was moving that reminded me of Keenan. And obviously there are so many drastic differences too, but that was such a crutch foundation of how Lemon was successfully getting open that I thought it was enough to make that comparison. And really, look, Lemon plays a lot bigger than he truly is. Like, this guy has a very large catch radius. He will go up and make a catch in contact. He's not really afraid of anything. And I think compared to a lot of guys in this class, he, like I said, he plays bigger than he is. And I feel like there are guys in this class that play smaller than they are. So Lemon, to me, I'm riding the high of the current NFL landscape, like a top 15 pick. Like it's very hard for me to see how he's not successful, really.
Yeah, that's my thing with him, because I do think that he is physically limited in terms of like I think like he's got short little arms. I think that he's not that fast. I don't think he's that strong. But like he's just so nuanced at the position that it's impossible for him to fail. Like I would be shocked if he does ever, become a 1,600-yard receiver. I think that would be pretty impressive. But I'd be really shocked if he wasn't getting 900 yards a year minimum. I think this is at least. I think he's gonna easily be the most targeted player on his team more often than not. I think he's gonna be one of the better slot receivers in the league, starting off. It's just like the age-old question: how limiting is a slot-only receiver?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think these days we know that it can't be too limited. Mm-mm. So
not if you got the right coach at all.
Right. That is very true. And there's a guy later on that we'll get to that is kind of the opposite. That I guess I'll save that for later. Makai Lemon definitely, to me, will be going in the top 15. I would be shocked if he went beyond that, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think people are buying the weirdo thing from his combine. Like he was interacting with a couple people weird, and everyone was like, this guy should drop to the second round, man. No, I think with the way the NFL is today, I think someone like him that plays so similar to the brand of like a JSN or someone, to an Amon-Ra St. Brown, that I would have a hard time seeing teams not try and find the next one.
Agreed. Yeah, one of the biggest reasons why, I mean, obviously, I just don't think he's as flat out good as those two guys are, but I don't know what he'll be as a run blocker. Like, obviously, that's a big part of Amon-Ra's game, and I didn't really strike him to be as dirty of a worker by any stretch. And that's an important part of being a slot receiver too. Like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, JSN plays out wide a bit more than JSN does. So, in Lemon's case, he'll be more of like, he'll be carrying a heavier load from the slot. So I think that would be the part that drags him from that tier for me in terms of like a projection. But even still, like, it's hard to just throw that around if you're not that confident either.
Right.
Carnell Tate, he is the consensus wide receiver one, I would say, by all accounts from what I read on Twitter and people's opinions on Tate. And I think I think the Devontae Smith comparison, I was seeing it prior to watching him, and I was like, I don't know how I could comp him to anybody else. This is genuinely the only player I could think of for Carnell Tate, and that's obviously not a bad thing. I do think, though, that Tate, to me, is a player that he's not limited. That's the wrong word, but he's going to win at every level. He's going to do a good job at getting open when he has to, but I don't think the whole Julian saying was so bad, and that's why, he wasn't a high volume receiver thing flies in terms of why he wasn't, he didn't have some of the big games like some of these other guys had, or at least as many of them. And he is just, in terms of not just archetype for Devontae Smith, but he fits that when you need that dagger on play action halfway through the third quarter to really put a team away. He's running that post route. You know, he's that guy running that deep crosser. He's going to make that big catch down the sideline in one-on-one coverage. Like he's more of a big moment type of player than a big game type of player, if that makes sense. So that's not a bad thing at all. I just was having a very hard time figuring out why it's just Tate, wide receiver one. Like, that's where I was struggling.
I think for me, and he is my wide receiver one, and I think for me, he's also so translatable, and you actually don't even have to coach it. Like, I think he runs the route tree the best. I think there are other guys that run parts of the route tree the best. I think some guys run better branches, but every route for him looks like it's starting the exact same. You don't have to motion him. You don't have to do anything. He just starts off in a straight line, and you have no idea where it's going. I think he comes back to the football extremely well. I think he's another guy you mentioned with Lemon that finds the blind spot really well. And that's why you see so many reps where he wins a post and has like 25 yards of separation. And you're like, where did that safety go? And it's just because Carnell Tate took advantage of his eyes, went behind him, made him think he was going another way, and just turned him around. And he did it multiple times. And I agreed. I was lower on him when I first watched. I had him as my receiver 3 for a while because I did feel like he wouldn't be the highest volume player in this class. And I still don't. I think that probably will be Lemon. But Tate, to me, is that guy you call when you need a bucket. Like, if you're down and you need help, you need a big play right now, you get on the walkie-talkie and say, bring him in. And then here comes Tate.
Yep.
And he's just everything that makes up a good receiver. I think he's better after the catch than he gets credit for, especially for being that like tall, wiry 6'2" guy. I think he is a very sophisticated route runner, and I think he's much better at that than he gets credit for. And then the hands speak for themselves. I mean, I think you're going to have a hard time fending anybody with better hands, better at high pointing the football, better at not dropping the football. He's a professional. And I think that sophisticated and professional are the two words I use the most on him, but it feels right, especially when compared to somebody like Devontae Smith.
Yeah, those are all very, very true points in his game. And I think, I don't know if I fully feel like this or not, but when you're talking about it, I'm asking myself, like, what is the most impactful and telling trait about a wide receiver? And I do think I think being a good deep route runner is a very difficult art. There aren't many genuinely good deep route runners. Like, Carnell Tate isn't just running by people because he's super fast, or he's not just dunking on people down the field. Like, he has, like you said, the ability to beat a player at the top of the route deep, and he bursts out of it so fast. I mean, it's like, where did that speed come from? He explodes at the top, and so many big plays where he, like you said, is just 3 or 4 steps behind the defense because he won so cleanly at that point of the route. So I think that is a fair avenue of thought to think if he's able to be such a specialist at that point, so far back, typically, against softer coverage, like, it's not easy to do. So very easily can you believe that the intermediate parts of the field, the shorter parts of the field where there's, less ground to cover, he can be just as good. So yeah, professional is a good word, especially like along the sidelines too. I think he's very controlled in his body, and there's not really any holes to poke at all.
No, I mean, it's just the volume stuff. But even then, I don't think Julian Sayin is as much to blame as it is playing with Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
Who is possibly the greatest receiver prospect of my lifetime, and he would be a wide receiver 1 on at least half of the teams in the NFL today, if not most of them. Which is why I think it's crazy.
Oh, Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I think it's so crazy when people are like, "Well, if he can't be a wide receiver 1 on his own college team, how is he supposed to be in the NFL?" Name me any college receiver that is going to be the wide receiver 1 on that Ohio State team. It's not happening. No one in this class would do that. So I think that's one of the more watered down arguments I've heard for him not being the best receiver. I think for me, it's the best blend of size, IQ, hands, and route running in this class.
Yeah. He's certainly one of the most comfortable picks you can make. Like, once again, like similar to Lemon. Like, if I had to rank the guys in terms of who I trust the most to pan out, easily a top 1 and 2 with him and Lemon. So, but there's more to it. But if you want a safe bet,
I feel really good about him being a good player.
Yeah. KC Concepcion. What do you think about KC?
I think that he's elite at the things he's elite at, and he's terrible at the things he's bad at. And that's what makes him so hard, because you have to ask yourself how much those things matter. And for him, my worries are, I think the strength is probably number one, and that strength in everything. That strength in his hands, that strength in his routes, that strength after the catch, where I feel like the elephant in the room with him is his hands. He's a hand clapper, and that's kind of like the big thing with everyone is he doesn't have any kind of catching technique. He just throws his hands together to try and catch the ball in there, and that's what resulted in him, I think, getting pretty close to leading college football in drops. But
yeah, he was up there.
And it also makes sense for his ball security. He had a couple fumbles on tape too, where I think that the ball in his hands is just a weird thing. It just doesn't make sense. But I think that he is possibly the burstiest player in this class. And that's what I like about him a lot. Not even just after the catch. I think he's an elite return specialist. He's really good on screens. But his burst in and out of breaks, his fast feet, he accelerates extremely well. And he can cut corners really, really hard. So as a route runner and after the catch, I think he is at near the top in this class.
I think this is the best receiver in this class, and it's like not close.
I don't think it's close.
I don't think it's like I would pick KC Concepcion over every receiver in this class 10 out of 10 times.
10 times.
And it's ironic of me to say it's hard to put an Amon Rob comp on a player and then go and put a Malik Neighbors comp on a player 5 minutes later. I get it. Hands are in the air. But to me, outside of the drop issue, which is very hard to ignore, there's nothing that I saw that I was concerned about. This is the twitchiest player. This is definitely the acceleration on him is insane. He runs like a stutter stop and go, and he burnt guys left and right doing that all year. Neighbors was excellent doing that on the boundary. He's obviously going to be even better out of the slot. And he didn't even play out of the slot that much either, which is mind blowing for the type of receiver I think the perception of him is that he's just this. My perception of him was he was just this gadgety, quick player, but he's not. Like, this is a extremely good route runner. Extremely. Like, you talk about one of the arguments that I remember people making against my Brian Thomas Malik Neighbors bit. I was a pro Brian Thomas, and I look back and I wonder, like, what did I miss? And the one thing people would say to me is just look at how Neighbors moves. The way he moves, he's elite. There is something about it that you can see, and it's twitchy. It's different. No one can. It's so hard to keep up with, and that's what I see in KC. He's got that it movement factor. Like, exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And when I was watching him just jump for balls downfield and get, grabbed in coverage, but still coming down with footballs too, I'm like, what can't he do? I get he had 19 drops across 3 seasons on 294 targets. Neighbors had 15 on 275 in his 3 years. So I think the whole hands thing is something we reiterate year after year with some of the better players, and we're like, but the hands, they figure it out. A lot of the times they figure it out. Jamar Chase figured it out. Malik Neighbors figured it out. Devontae Adams figured it out. Like, obviously these are the best of the best, but for that to be the one concern, I don't think it's nearly enough to drag him down, just considering how at every single level he won. and Marcel Reed is dog shit.
He is awful.
Like, I mean, he would have had 1,500 fucking yards if Marcel Reed wasn't so bad. Like, he racked up almost 1,000 with Marcel fucking Reed. Like, and he's splitting a room with Mario Craver too. So it's not
Craver's
like
nice.
Craver's very good. So it's not like he's just racking up garbage yards at a small school, against these dog shit players. Like, he is playing high level competition with a brutal quarterback and competition in his room. And he still looks like this. So I'm just sitting here. I'm like, what am I missing with KC that people aren't freaking out? Then I go on Twitter and people are hating on him. I'm
really?
Like, what am I missing here?
I don't see, like, my only gripe is that, and it was shocking to me when I found out that he weighed 196 pounds. I was like, where the fuck was that?
Yeah, right. It doesn't look like it.
It felt to me that he played 175.
Yes.
Because not only because I didn't think he played physical. I didn't think he liked physicality, but he's very twitchy. He's so freaking fast. So I think that it's like a double-edged sword where, like, I feel like he plays way faster than his listed size, but I think he plays a lot smaller than his listed size too. And even, like, I don't know if it's just like a technique thing, but it just feels like his catch radius is very small. Like, kind of, unless he's hit right directly on the chest, it might not be caught. But I don't know. Like you said, there is, a way to work through that with the right coaching and the right technique. You can have pretty good hands, and that is partially why I gave him a Brandon Cooks comp. I try not to even worry about the hands. It was kind of just, I see a 1,000-yard receiver. He can do it every single year. He is fast. He can win downfield. He can win after the catch like a young Brandon Cooks could. He can be a punt returner. Like, I don't see him quite as that Malik Neighbors style, but I think if you can have the career Brandon Cooks did, any receiver would do that 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, absolutely. He was just a super impactful player at 32 years old on a Super Bowl contending team. So I agree with that. Like, that's a dream career, for
I mean,
a lot of guys.
The dude had 1,000 yards in, like, over half of his seasons. Yeah, if you could draft that, because Casey's probably going to go mid to back half of the first, probably like mid to late teens. And if you can get 1,000-yard, multiple time 1,000-yard receiver out of that, that's a complete W.
This was a player that the Bills were rumored to be drafting for a while now. I'm like, I'm thinking, whatever, sure, like, gadget receiver, cool. And then I watched him, like, holy shit, like, I need this to be a Buffalo Bill. So this is now my infatuation for the Bills pick.
That would hurt.
Hurt who?
It'll hurt because it might not happen. He might go a little earlier than that.
Yeah, I know. I know. And he probably will. Like, I think this will be after the way that free agency is gone. And I think generally speaking at the receiver position and even, the edge rusher position, we're going to start to see these positions of value get overdrafted because of how expensive they're getting in free agency. So I think we're going to see a transition period of, like, all right, fuck it. He might not be as good as, like, this linebacker, but we need this position and we don't want to pay for it. So we're going to try it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, Casey, my love, please. Denzel Boston next on this list. And you made a comment about how Makai Lemon is the type of receiver that 6 years ago would have went like 3 rounds later. Denzel Boston 6 years ago would be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And this is just, unfortunately for Denzel, was born in the wrong era of football, born in the wrong era of the NFL, because I mean, really, he's a fun player. Like, anybody you can just chuck it up to, and 95% of the time will probably catch it is fun. But when the competition gets steep and the corners get more physical, they get lengthier, they get stronger. We've seen it. I've seen it firsthand, time and time again. It just isn't something you can safely bet on. And unfortunately, for players like Keon Coleman, they just never were able to figure it out in between the hash marks. But for Denzel Boston, I was giving him grace, and I think, Michael Pittman is a very popular comp for him, and rightfully so. Like, I do see a universe where he'll have his moments where he goes over top and he baptizes a guy or two, but I think he can be a very good possession receiver and be somebody that is just reliable over the middle of the field and can build a career out of that. So I went into it like, yeah, man, this ain't it. But I started to kind of turn a corner a little bit because there are receivers like this that still do exist and still can have a a positive impact on their offense. And Michael Pittman, he's had a good career so far, and I think if his quarterback in Pittsburgh isn't terrible, he'll be just fine.
Yeah, I felt the literal exact same way, and I gave him also a Michael Pittman Jr. comp for the same reasons. We're like, I think I was hating on him more when he was a projected first-round pick. Like, I've seen him projected to the Dolphins at like 11, and that's ridiculous to me. But when the consensus finally realizes like this is a day 2 pick, I can kind of come back to earth with him and say, yeah, he is a day 2 pick and a good one. He's a good day 2 receiver. I would personally take him in the 3rd round because I really don't see a guy that has a chance to become an elite wide receiver in this league. But I do think that he could very much help a team because I do think that he still is better at the catch point than Keon Coleman ever was. I think Keon was more of a highlight guy. I think Denzel was a lot more efficient at the catch point. Mm-hmm. I think Boston's a very underrated mover. I think he's very fluid. I don't think he has any explosion to his game, but I think he's very fluid. And that helps him a lot in finding the soft spot in the zone, settling down, almost kind of runs like a tight end when he's out there running routes, for better or for worse. But he has a couple good things to his game outside of just being a contested catch specialist. Again, my only worry is just the lack of explosion, the lack of winning after the catch really at all as a projection to the NFL. I think if he gets manned up on by, one of those 6'1" Jalen Watson type corners, I think it's wraps. But I do think if he does get matched up against smaller guys, he still can use his physicality. I think that he plays above the rim very well. Very good catch radius, very good high pointer, strong hands. He's better than a lot of his haters give him credit for. But I still don't see a first-round receiver here at all.
Agreed. I don't either. I think Boston will be he'll be a flavor pick. Like, I think if he gets taken earlier than maybe we agree on, it'll be because a team like in our mock, I had him going to Kansas City late in the first. It's like they literally have like McDonald's toys running routes at receiver. Like, they're small, they're tiny, they're easily breakable. They need somebody that is just a presence of bully, and he would be like that. So I think it would be a matter of circumstance if he got taken a little bit sooner, but in a vacuum, it's tough to project this kind of player nowadays in terms of success rate. So it's just a math problem, Denzel. It's nothing personal.
No.
I also thought something I wrote down that's coming back to me. Like, I felt like he didn't run a lot of routes. Like, he just kind of did the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. It was just like jump ball, and then
some drags,
and like a screen maybe.
Screens were weird. Yeah.
He'll just like truck a guy at the second level for like 7 yards. I'm like, all right. I would have liked, like, Keon, like you said, was a highlight guy. Like, he was running post routes and like throwing people down. He was running like digs and like jumping 6 feet in the air on an overthrown ball. It's like Boston really was just like, thrown into my radius and then like just jumping and catching it over your head. That's really it.
Yeah, he's a fun player though. Like, not to discredit him at all. He does have some fun highlight tapes out there. It's just, like you said, kind of a boring watch because they kind of ask him to do this. That's kind of the whole Washington offense too, honestly. Outside of like the quarterback runs, it's pretty boring.
Yeah. Williams is Demond Williams, right? Yeah, that guy's
little Kyler Murray.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Omar Cooper Jr. What are your thoughts on Omar Cooper?
This is when we talk about personal flavor. This is my kind of receiver. I love receivers that just play strong. I like receivers that win after the catch, and not just with catching it and running by people, but running through people, bouncing corners off the turf. When he gets the ball in his hands, he looks like a running back. But to me, he's not one of these like Malachi Corley rack only guys. Like, I do think there is a lot of natural nuance to his game. I think the Indiana offense makes it hard because they're like so RPO, they're so screen heavy that it does make it hard to gauge how many actual routes he can run. But I do think, especially later in the season, when he's asked to run an out route, when he's asked to run a professional route, he did it pretty well. And I think he improved a lot on it. And that's kind of the part that I like the most. And he's been clutch. His catch against Penn State is one of the greatest college football catches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
His body control, everything about him athletically outside of just pure speed, I really, really like. The route running in the hands are also sufficient enough for me to completely bet on the after catch stuff.
Omar Cooper Jr. I have a question for you, and I want you to. I know you just said he's your flavor, so it might be tough.
Do it.
But without that catch against Penn State, what is Omar Cooper in terms of the public eye?
I don't know. I think people still like him. I think people like him a lot because he didn't get a ton of volume, obviously, playing with two other NFL receivers on his team. Charlie Becker, the other one, who will probably be like a second-round pick next year. But I don't know. I think early in the season, he made a lot of really cool plays. And the Penn State one just boosted his stock and kind of put him on the map because a lot of receivers were high-end recruits or they transferred from somewhere else. But he was a 3-star that just kind of worked his way up through multiple different coaches, different regimes, and just kind of sprouted this year. No one even knew who he was going into the year. So that play just put him on the map. I think the rest of his tape was really, really good.
I don't like this taste. I don't like this flavor. There's just, and it sucks because Omar Cooper is obviously a very popular name right now, and he's a player that a lot of people that I respect really, really like. And I just didn't see it. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I am having a hard time seeing what he'll be good at in the NFL. Like, I get that the Indiana offense was not built to showcase and highlight really anybody's skill set, to be honest. It was just made to win. It's like wing T in high school. It's like awful. They just do what the fuck they got to do to win, and it's awful for everybody else involved, but they win, so who cares? And you make a good point. Like, I thought when push came to shove, Mendoza was going to Becker, and Becker was the one making some of the biggest plays in the games that I watched. And that's not to say that Cooper didn't make big plays himself, but I felt like the opportunities that Cooper was given down the field, there were some tougher catches that hit the ground that I would have liked to see him make. Sometimes where I felt like he alligator armed it. And obviously the rack stuff is where you're really, really intrigued. It's just, I don't see a player that is like, if you're a yak player, you're one of two things. You're either like a tank like Debo and you're built to break tackles, or you're like a sparky, sporadic, I guess Zachariah Branch, if you will. You're one of those. Your calling card is one of those two things. I feel like he's in the middle of both of them, and he's just like not really great at either. And it's going to be tough, I think, for him to break NFL level tackles the way he was breaking them in college. Like he was literally like you said, like dribbling heads on the ground at times. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who did he just throw down?
It's just a contact balance. Like, it's not like. Yeah. Like, obviously, he's not the same athlete as Jamar at all, but I think a lot of his rack reminds me of that, where it's just the contact balance. He has a lot of muscle to his frame, and I think he just understands how to do it. This is another player, and I've had it multiple times. Malik Neighbors was the biggest one, but there's multiple receivers where I'm like, I see the way they move. I can see just the way that they understand the position, and I'm willing to bet on it. And he's definitely one where I just think when I saw him run routes and he actually tried to run routes, when I saw him block, when I saw him run after the catch, I just saw him doing that in the NFL. I think there was a little Luther Birdney to him outside of like the lack of explosiveness. But I think there was like a Jarvis Landry, Luther Birdney thing to his game where same deal with Jarvis Landry coming out. People didn't think he was like fast enough. They didn't think that he was, going to win downfield. But he just worked at his craft because he moved the right way, and he won after the catch really well because he was pretty strong and physical, and just worked out. And I see a lot of that in Omar Cooper.
I think, too, it's just you. I don't think he'll be able to play anywhere else other than the slot.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like he played in the slot 83% of the time in 2025, which is like pretty crazy. I would say it's probably up there in terms of receivers that were, that had high snap counts, playing the position. And I was thinking of who to comp him to. I went with KJ Osborne because he played in the slot heavily at Buffalo as well. And he ended up kind of moving outside later on. And it was like, all right, well, I feel like there was probably you're getting more from KJ Osborne and more from Omar Cooper when he is in the slot. But then at the NFL level, it's like there are just players that we're talking about how important the slot position is and the types of players that are successful from there right now. There are a lot of them. And I just don't think Omar Cooper fits that archetype of like this dominant slot winner that these teams are looking for. So it'll be tough. If it's tough for him to figure it out from that spot, I just don't think from a route running perspective, there's enough to find a place for him anywhere else. Like I feel like I saw a lot of routes where he's trying to get downfield and all the DB does at the top of the route is kind of give him a little bit of a shove or something. And he didn't get thrown off. It's just his timing was then stalled. And, maybe Mendoza looked somewhere else, or it just threw off the timing just enough, not to where he got bullied or pushed down, but he just wasn't avoiding stuff like that at times. I was really upset that I came away not liking Omar.
No,
Cooper,
this is one where like I can't even fully explain my thoughts, but I think this is the second best receiver in the draft.
That's how I am with KC. So
yeah,
I
can't even explain why exactly. Like I obviously the run after the catch, and I think just like the overall movement ability, but there's just something about him naturally that I kind of just understand will work, and I can't explain it, but I wish I could.
Well, I trust your judgment better than mine. I haven't been doing this long enough to say, but I will be interested to see how he goes, especially because both Casey and Omar are guys that could be Buffalo Bills. Those very, very popular mock drafted players to that team. So we'll see. We will see, but
they both would help a lot.
They both, yeah. I mean, I won't be upset with either of them.
No,
so
they would
let's
both
make that very clear.
Be high impact players.
Yeah. If we took Omar over Casey, though, I would be pretty pissed.
That's the right move.
No,
I would do that.
No,
that's what I would do.
Help. Oh, Chris Brazzell. This was talk about a fun watch.
He was fun.
Chris Brazzell is just like anything you want in a receiver he's got. Like you go on to Madden and you build a creative player. You give him this super tall build. You make him extremely fast, and you just go and run by everybody and dunk on everybody like that. This guy was playing Madden at times, and it's almost too good to be true to some extent. I'm like, this is like a crazy built receiver that moves in a way that this size of receiver really shouldn't. And it's tough to find player comparisons for somebody like this, but after spending a large amount of time looking, Martavis Bryant came to mind, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is what Martavis Bryant was supposed to be, and he was well on his way to being that until all of the off the field issues kind of bit him in the ass. But this is a crazy skill set to have, like to be 6'4" and to be able to throttle down the way he can, to be able to accelerate the way he can, and to get downfield and then jump over people. Like I just am baffled by what type of receiver this is. It's just they just don't come around often enough, and it's so exciting and intriguing. But I think the part with him that's scary is just the unknown. Like you don't know. Like this isn't even like a T. Higgins or, I guess T. Higgins is a bad example, but I can't even think of anybody else that he really reminded me of. I guess that was my problem.
I mean, I guess same because I had Martavis Bryant also,
like, what the fuck?
Which is a very weird combo of comps. I also had Sidney Rice was another one that I thought of for him. Okay. But again, we're going back in time. We're going back to like the 2000s, early 2010s, because it's hard to find a guy that's 6'4", 6'5", glider, but nuance. Like he has actual nuance to his game. Like you said, to throttle down. He has an obvious like awkwardness to him from being that tall. Anyone that tall does, but I think he does a really good job of overcoming that. He's one where like I wish he played a little bigger. Like I wish he played at the catch point harder. Even some of his like highlight plays, the ball just kind of fell into his hands, and it wasn't him mossing the guy. But I think he just moves so well at that size that I'm willing to bet on it. And it's not moving well as like a 40-yard dash moving well. I think he moves laterally well. I mean, he can run a whip route really well. I think he runs a whip route better than Casey Concepcion does, which is crazy because he's like 7 inches taller. But it was just really interesting to me to see him move that well at that height. But he also has really good body control. A lot of times, like you'll see a ball thrown behind him, he'll completely throttle down and catch the ball that was thrown 3 feet behind him. Like a couple of those on tape. It was really, really impressive. And I think there's 2 reasons why he is not being drafted higher. I would say Dante Thornton and just Tennessee. Like those are like the main reasons. Actually, Quentin Johnston. I would say there's 3. Like the people are tired of these like tall, height, weight, speed guys. But he's so much more skilled than Johnston ever was. I think he's a better prospect than Johnston was. And this is a guy that like I've mocked him at the end of first, and I don't think that's crazy.
A lot of Quentin, if I'm not mistaken, was yak stuff too. Like he was fast with the ball in his hands and breaking tackles, right?
Yes, so, that's where he won mostly, was like a drag route and then run.
Yes, and that's a clear red flag to me. This is a much different. This is a different player. Like Quentin Johnston didn't even cross my mind, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe he did just because
it's not a comp, but I think people are scared now of like those tall, fast guys that kind of just rely on being tall and fast.
Yeah, I think I think the one concern I have is just he's skinny. Like he'll need to put on some weight, most definitely. And I think you made a good point too. It's like he wasn't making like crazy like Denzel Boston type catches. He wasn't like completely just going to the basket and grabbing the rebound type of grabs. And the way I described it was he has closer to Cortland Sutton hands than like T. Higgins or DeAndre Hopkins hands. Yeah. And in a way, like, you got this big framed receiver, and there were times where, he'll make a crazy catch reaching behind him or something like that. But, the quick slant over the middle or the dig in the end zone, like he'll bobble or like toss up in the air or something. It's like, all right, well, T. Higgins probably doesn't drop that. DeAndre Hopkins probably doesn't, bobble that.
Yeah.
So I worry about that too, especially when it gets to be more contact and, the corners are definitely more physical. You obviously ask yourself, how does Chris Brazzell go against Sauce Gardner right now? Who knows? Like if 10 yards out, Sauce Gardner, Chris Brazzell, I'm probably giving 9 out of 10 reps to Sauce Gardner. And maybe in 3 years, that's a different conversation. But those are the concerns. Although he's a player that similarly to I can't remember who I said it about, but nevertheless, if you have a taste for Chris Brazzell and you're like, I'll look past the concerns, this is just a super fun player. I wouldn't be mad if he was the 2nd receiver taken. And if he was the 6th receiver taken, I'd be fine with that too.
This next guy's very, very different. Germie Bernard from Bama. This, to me, is another one of those guys where I will be shocked if one day he's bad. I would be floored if he's a bad football player. But I would also be shocked if he's extremely good. Like he is one of the most high floor, low ceiling receivers. And people have been hating on like the term high floor, low ceiling. But it's true. I think it's very true. Because Germie, he is a smart football player. He's very good after the catch. He's crafty. He's tough. He's strong. He's got pretty good hands. But again, just a physically limited guy where he will never win a go route in the NFL, I will say, unless it is schemed open. And he's not scaring people with his speed or his twitch. After the catch, he can win. It can be a little twitchy, but he's going to be very limited as a route runner. Another one of those guys you might kind of want closer to the slot or in a more specialized role. But he's just really, really good at what he does. He is a quarterback's best friend type receiver. And I have him as like a mid-day 2 type of receiver, but I wouldn't be mad if you took him a little earlier than that.
Agreed. Yeah, Germie Bernard, and people are going to think we're doing this on purpose, but we're not. We do this completely separately. Like we don't even converse about it.
No, never.
Not even like I purposely try not to talk about players that we're talking about in an upcoming episode because I want to just wait. I also had Chris Godwin as my comp, and I had a late day 2, early day 3. And honestly, I don't know. I love him. Don't get me wrong. I think, like you said, the lower ceiling is just going to be what, people just want to swing for the fences, shoot for the stars. So I'm going to change that. That's what my whole point in saying that is. But in any event, everything you said is very true. And this is somebody that I think was used improperly in his final year at Bama, like to an extent. I think he had a career year in terms of, targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns, but he was only in the slot like 36% of the time, which was the lowest of his college career up to that point. And for every reason that you already mentioned, he just kind of has to live in the slot a little bit more. I think we would need a 50-50 split, 60-40 split, even similar to Godwin, to get the most out of him, because he is just good at floating, at finding the soft spot. He's good at traveling with the quarterback. And it's hard to do those things when you're limited to, playing out wide. And you're not going to be as involved in every play if your quarterback's play breaks down. Like, it's just the nature of where your route starts. So he just needs to be closer to the quarterback. He can't be someone's best friend if you're not close to them.
Right.
And from the slot, that's where you are. And I think something that immediately stood out to me, I think the Florida State game was the first one I watched. That was his best game in terms of yardage. But like the first few plays I watched, I'm like, this guy might be the best run blocking receiver in the class, at least as far as what I've watched so far. Like he does the dirty work on top of it. So there's really nothing about him that doesn't fit what NFL offenses consistently are looking for. And I'm hoping that wherever he ends up going does kind of cater to this slot skill set, because he does need more room to be able to get open than, maybe a pure separator does. But he's good after the catch on top of it. Like, I think he's more sudden than twitchy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he has I don't think he's very twitchy at all.
No, he's not.
Like,
but he does change direction kind of well.
Yeah, and a lot of his game almost looks like he's jogging, which is interesting.
Yes.
But it's kind of just him pacing. Like, I mean, Jamar Chase does that. That's partially why he's so good at beating people downfield, is because he looks like he's jogging, and then there he goes. Out of nowhere, he catches you sleeping. That's kind of what Germie does. Or he'll kind of look like he's jogging his routes, and he's strong enough to do it, so like he doesn't just get pushed over. He can handle the contact, and then he'll just quickly slip one way, and he's wide open. And he does it all the time. And I really like that about him. That does translate. I think the way he wins after the catch translates, and his hands translate. It's just like the upside. I would be shocked if he's ever a 1,300-yard guy, but I would just be shocked if he's not at least a team's third best option, and like a very solid, good one.
Agreed. Yeah, he's a guy that I can easily see in a lot of these run first offenses that have their number one, but they got their reliable number two. That good at run blocking. He'll get you 50-ish yards every other week, and then when he's needed, he'll have 110. It's like he won't. He's not going to go to the Bengals in an offense that's spread out like that and be a relevant option. But like Detroit right now, I think they would love to have Germie Bernard, a player like that, or like the Bills even. I think would love to have it. I would love Germie Bernard in Buffalo, to be honest. So a lot of these like run first offenses that aren't pass heavy, that they don't need a superstar at wide receiver too, but they just need someone that they could plug and be impactful. That's Bernard. So
I'll take him over Yoshi, by the way. I will take him gladly as receiver 3. Don't get me wrong.
That's fair. That is very fair. That point about his speed too, I did write down that he just kind of moves at one speed. There's never really a second gear. And that, like you put it, that's a good way to put it. Like he moves at a tempo that is just like he floats. He floats in a good way.
That's Godwin though.
Yes.
Like Godwin has never been the fastest receiver on his team, and he's never played with that fast of receivers. Like he's just kind of finds a way to get it done, and he's made a whole career out of it. And I think that he is the exact same mold as Germie, in pretty similar size and athletics profiles too. I think Godwin was a little more athletic coming out, but like as comparable as you can get to a guy.
Well, we were talking about in the combine episode that Bernard ran like a little under a 4.5, and that was kind of surprising, because you really don't see him moving too fast really ever. And the same thing with Godwin too. I looked up, I think if I'm not mistaken, he ran a 4.42. I'm like,
which is
really,
you don't see that in the NFL though.
No, you don't at all.
No, and I mean Germie ran a 4.48. So I mean, all things considered, obviously it's not on top of each other, but it's not dramatically far off where you can't make that comp.
Agreed. Yeah, it's two speeds that you just wouldn't expect from either of them.
I think it's just the way that they play. I mean, like, would you have ever guessed that Germie runs faster than Carnell Tate?
Yeah, right.
Like,
no, I
no.
wouldn't have.
And it's just like it's the strides and it's the pace they play at.
Mm-hmm.
They're just different guys, almost opposite guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like it's an art form, if you will. Chris Bell. Oh, I'm not going to be very nice to Chris Bell. I'm not going to be very nice to Mr. Chris. Chris Bell is NFL Xavier Legette, and I must make that very clear because I fell for Xavier Legette last year or 2 years ago. And that's because Xavier Legette was moving like a Greek god. I don't care what anybody says, but he was moving different, and it was insane. The player he became in the NFL. It's not the same player. They cloned him, and they killed the original because it's not the same guy. I think Chris Bell is already the NFL version of Legette, and he's not in the NFL yet. And that's really bad. This is a heavy tank. He's built to deliver punishment. That's nice. He's obviously extremely quick. He accelerates fast, but talk about like the most boring route tree ever. The most boring player. It's just slant, drag, get the ball quick, and hope to God he just breaks free somewhere because there's a gap. That's it. Like, I was expecting there to be some DK Metcalf-ish plays where he's downfield and just bullying somebody. Like, I think he made one catch against, I think it was was it SMU? I can't remember who it was against, where he jumped up, he mossed two guys and ran the other over and like injured the other guy. I'm like, okay, this is kind of the shit we saw DK do. Didn't see it again. That was the only play I saw where he made a catch downfield. I'm like, this is legitimately just a high school receiver. To me, this is how do I put this nicely? A lot of good high school receivers are good simply because they're more athletic, faster, bigger than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow Chris Bell has gotten to the highest division of collegiate football doing that exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is where it's going to stop because I don't see any really good route. Like, he's stiff as hell as a route runner. I don't see much twitch. I don't see much suddenness. The route tree is limited. I think the catch radius is pretty limited. And for a guy that is so damn quick when he gets the ball, he doesn't threaten vertically like at all. It makes zero sense. So I'm seeing people like saying, pre-ACO, Chris Bell's like a top 25 pick. I'm like, what the fuck did you watch, bro?
No, they fall for it. I mean, I like him probably as much as I liked Legette. I did not like Legette, though.
Legette was unbelievable. Please turn on the highlight tapes and look at the difference.
I've seen the highlight tapes. I just didn't like his tape. Legette was more athletic. I think Bell was more nuanced, but still, like you said, the stiffness exists. Like, you can be as nuanced as you want. I think he understands how to run routes. Bell does. But physically, he's just like, his ankles are too thick. It just doesn't work because he's so big. And I think I would like him a lot more if, like you said, he could win vertically. And that's the one thing when people keep trying to chase AJ Brown. This is what they're trying to do. This is trying to chase AJ Brown. AJ Brown is one of the most dominant vertical receivers we have seen in a long time. The ball tracking, strength, the hands, and the athleticism. And I think these guys have a lot of that, but they don't have the ability to threaten downfield, and it completely takes away from their operation. Because if you guard the drag route with Chris Bell, it's done. If you shade him a little on the inside, make him run a fade or an out route, it's over with.
Yep.
So I think because of the ACL injury as well, I could drop him even farther. Off of the film itself, I gave him like a third, fourth round because there is a world where I could see a team really using this. But when comparing it to like the average NFL team, I don't think I'd like it very much. And I liked him more before, but just as the year went on, man, like he didn't get any better. And then he got hurt too, which made it even worse because he could have tested really well and done some cool stuff, but he didn't. So now we have that, and he's injured, and he's raw, and he's stiff. I think there's just a very limited upside, and the floor could also be like Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah. I mean,
People like Jonathan Mingo coming out. He was like Steve Smith's like receiver.
He was supposed to be the next AJ Brown too. Ole Miss.
I'm telling you, the next AJ Brown does not exist. If he
think,
does, we'll know about it.
Yeah, I don't think people understand like what makes AJ Brown so good. Like he
not
is,
his size. It's
no,
dude. The ball tracking and the strength in the hands. It's the vertical
hands.
Threatening.
Yes.
And I know he had a couple drops this year, so people think his hands are bad all of a sudden. I was arguing with people like that all freaking month because I had a tweet that said about Leggett or about Bell. It was like, is this AJ Brown or is this Xavier Leggett? Let's find out. And everyone's like, and then when I was trying to tell them why he's not AJ Brown, I said the hands. He doesn't threaten like that. And they're like, well, he dropped the ball a bunch this year. He doesn't even have good hands anyways. If you think AJ Brown doesn't have good hands, you're out your fucking mind.
I know.
He is the best basket catch receiver in the league by far.
Yep. He has an innate ability to fade like slightly back at the last second and just like late hands it.
Dude, his late
drop
hands.
In.
Oh, him and Keenan Allen, dude, untouchable.
I just don't know what people saw that would give them any impression that this is like a vertically threatening receiver. Like I watched a pretty good chunk of him, and it's not even like it happened and we're just suggesting that the projection won't work out. It just didn't happen. Like I didn't see it. Like there was not like this bucket of plays that I saw that you can put together 2.5 minutes worth of that was just him like winning a one-on-one ball downfield. It just simply didn't. It just wasn't a thing. So people just see like thick, beefy, fast boy, and they're like, yeah, he can win one-on-one. He can catch deep balls. It's like he didn't even prove he could do it then. What makes people think they're gonna, go and do it now? Like this is just. There's always one player per positional group that I'm like, yeah, this shit ain't gonna work, and this is it. This is comfortably it. I do not see a path where Chris Bell works out, and if I had to make a bet, Chris Bell would be my bust of this draft cycle.
I don't even know if he's going to get the opportunity to be one, to be honest. I think with the injury and with how deep this receiver class is, I mean, there are some guys we'll talk about next episode that I like much more than some of the guys we've talked about or will talk about, but yeah, he's one where I don't think he's even going to be taken high. I think he's a day 3 guy. Yeah,
I think he is too. And I wrote that down before I knew he even fucking tore his shit. So I'm like, well, now he's really in trouble. So tough scenes for
runs a good hitch route.
Yeah, runs a great hitch route. I love, a good drag every once in a while, but it's just
all the time.
It's just not what I want to wake up in the morning and see every single time.
Right.
And that leaves us with Zachariah Branch.
Yeah.
Finish it off.
This is the guy that I feel like I've been having to check my own sanity on because I see a lot of people saying early 2. I've seen some late 1s on this guy. And I get it. I see that he moves very well. He's quick. He has some of the best lateral agility to come off a receiver prospect in some time. However, he's 5'9", 177 pounds, and he's not a good route runner. What do you want me to do with that? Because he is quick, but he's not Tyreek Hill. We can stop with those comps. He is of the Mecole Hardman, of the NFL Tavon Austins of the world, where I think he will be a very dynamic punt returner, 100%. I could see him being a Pro Bowler as a punt returner. But if we're talking drafting a guy in the second round to be a gadget receiver, I mean, how many times do we have to do that before we can realize, learn from Malachi Corley, learn from Sky Moore, learn from every single time we've drafted a gadget in the second round that it just does not work? I mean, who was the best one? Laviska Shenault? I don't understand what we're trying.
He was big.
Yes, he was huge. He was 230 pounds. So I don't understand what we're trying to chase here with gadget guys. And I've seen some people think that because of the way Branch moves, we can teach him to run routes. But I promise you, if he could run routes, a college team would be trying to get him to run routes. Yeah. They wouldn't give him 51% screens on the year, which is what he got. He had 51% screens, and he wasn't really all that crazy productive.
No, he was not. He was not at all. I ended up settling on Curtis Samuel. I think I will say I think he's a slightly better route runner than you're giving. Just slightly.
He's fine.
He's fine. I think I think the exciting part is just like there's a varying degree. Like there's a risk reward with every selection, obviously. It's like the later you get, the more you're like, all right, if you get to the late day 2 and most of the guys we've already talked about are gone, if you really think that you can turn this into something, like the ceiling is high enough in the defense of these people. So I don't think that it's utterly insane to think it could be something. But then again, like you said, 51% screens is pretty nuts. And that's all. Like I literally tried to go through like as many games as I could. And I'm like, at what point does he do the Tyreek Hill thing where he beats someone deep, or, he makes a catch 60 yards down? He just really doesn't or didn't. So once again, similar to Chris Bell, it's like we didn't even see that then. So why are we suddenly thinking we can turn him into that, at the NFL level? And that in a similar light to like the whole AJ Brown thing, it's like I still don't think people understand what made Tyreek Hill so fucking good. It
Right.
wasn't just how fast he was. It was his deep route running and his ball tracking, his ability to go up and get a football against people that were significantly taller than him and somehow play so big. Branch had a few plays where I went into it. I'm like, yeah, this dude's just a screen merchant. But he made a few catches where he got fucking popped and he held on to it. And I'm like, all right, that's something. Is it enough to take him as high as you're saying people are saying to take him? No. And I think ultimately having a player like Branch it's likely more a curse than a blessing. It's a blessing because obviously who knows what it can turn out to be. But it's more so a curse because you're sitting here like, all right, I have this really fast, explosive player on my offense. How can I get him the ball? And I think it becomes almost an Achilles heel for some offenses, just having him out there trying to figure out how to incorporate him, because you're like, okay, he's so good at this one thing that could really open up our offense. But then again, it's like, well, now we have to somehow build runs around him where he's on the field, and you really can't involve him in a run blocking scheme, but you also don't want to make it obvious when he's out there and you're passing. It's like, I feel like it becomes like a huge mind fuck to try and work a player like this in consistently, unless he's legitimately Tyreek Hill, and
Right.
he's not.
And I just don't want to be trying to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to call regular plays, and like looking back, I've been trying to sort through the best like second round, third round gadgety receivers. And if the best we're chasing right now is like I don't even know who we're trying to chase. Wan'Dale Robinson? Is that what we're trying? Is that like the high end of what this is? Because if that's the case, then like I'm not that interested. Like if I miss and he becomes as good as a Wan'Dale Robinson, so be it. But like if we're trying to draft a guy and hoping he could become that good maybe in the second round, I just don't have an interest in that. Like I think he's an okay route runner. I think he moves well, but like, is he against DJ Turner? Is he against somebody else that's, NFL level? I don't think so.
Yep. I didn't see the one thing that I was like, all right, this could be why you're chasing Tyreek Hill. I didn't see that. And obviously same thing with Brown. Like you're always wanting to find that for good reason, but you gotta be careful. You gotta be very responsible with chasing these kinds of things.
And yeah, like I kind of just want to go through the list of real quick of
go
guys
ahead.
that were drafted in this range ish that we're trying to chase this gadget guy. Malachi Corley is the most recent one. Jaden Reed looked like it was going to be good. Now he's kind of just a gadget again. Marvin Mims, kind of still one of those guys. Wan'Dale Robinson, John Mechie, Sky Moore, Velus Jones, Danny Gray. And I'm not listing these guys selectively. I'm listing them in order. Kadarius Toney, Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore, Dwayne Eskridge, Tutu Atwell, Amari Rogers. Like, this is not a good list of these like small gadget rack guys hoping they can become more. Like, the list is very, very small of success.
Yep, it's the it's just on the opposite side of the spectrum, the Denzel Boston problem. It's like you just don't see a high amount. You just don't see a high hit rate with players of this archetype anymore. And in Branch's case, really ever. So at least in Boston's case, there is a history, there is a pathway. But in Branch's case, it's like, man, you gotta the stars have to really, really align.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and, it's not safe.
I see an all-pro punt returner. I think he could be unbelievable. But I just think, and if we're talking about this guy on like a early fourth, I can totally get behind that. That's awesome. Yeah. But I think when we're talking about the context of him possibly being, for some people, a top 10 receiver in this draft, a guy that should be starting as one of your 3 receivers on your team, that's where I kind of differ, because I don't see him ever being a top 3 option on a very successful passing offense.
Yeah, I agree. It's just very bleak in that sense. But then again, I would take him over Chris Bell. So
I probably would at this point. I don't think I would take him over anybody else at all on this list.
Agreed.
Or close.
Agreed. Yeah, I did not. Out of the 10 that we've talked about, he would be 9 of 10.
Yeah, him and Chris Bell are very similar to me.
Yeah, it's like, do you want the gadgety fast guy, or do you want the bull fast guy?
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
Give him some drag routes and some screens. Like, I don't want to have to think about how I want to give this guy the ball. I'd rather have him run the threat of a full 9 route tree. That's so much better in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chris Brazzell, have him go run vertically and then have him run this comeback real quick. That's so much better than, like, let's see how many screens we can pump this guy until our fans start throwing batteries at us. Like, it's way better.
I think Branch could run a full 9 better than Bell.
I don't know.
I think
we wouldn't know. They don't let him.
Yeah, I guess you're right. We wouldn't know for either of them, would we?
Like, I think he physically could move and do it, but I think if he gets hands on him,
yeah,
like, he is, like, I think they'll just hit him and he will disappear, but his clothes will still be there. They're just like, where did he go? And there's like a Zachariah Branch size hole in the wall over here. He just got flown.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea.
No, I see him being a very good Kansas City Chief if he goes there.
Yeah,
he is the Mecole Hardmans of the world. Like, I can see him, getting like a game-winning whip route to win the Super Bowl or something. But, like, I see like a 500-yard guy here. It's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that will be the 10 receivers. Quickly before we wrap it up, let's do it. Let's clip farm. Who are your top 5 receivers in this class?
Number 1, comfortably, is Carnell Tate. Number 2, I have Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana. Number 3, I have Makai Lemon from USC. Number 4, I have Jordyn Tyson from Arizona State. And 5, Casey Concepcion. But it's damn close with Chris Brazzell.
Doing my guy dirty, damn
That's
it.
such a normal spot to have him, too.
No.
It's so normal. That's I have like an early 2 on him. He's a top 35 grade.
That's not top 10.
Top 35.
My top 5 receivers in this class, I have Casey Concepcion at number 1, comfortably. I will add. I have Makai Lemon 2. I have Jordyn Tyson 3. I have Carnell Tate 4, and then Chris Brazzell at my 5. So,
Chris Bell at 5, I heard.
Oh, yeah. Chris Bell.
Chris Bell at 5.
Chris Bell, yes.
Louisville
receiver, 6'2", 222.
Yes.
Very, very
built
fast.
Like a fullback. I think he could be a great linebacker. Not even kidding.
Probably. He'd be excellent.
I think he'd be really good.
He'd probably be better in coverage than Arbel.
Maybe. I mean, maybe.
I do think he probably would be a very just like fucking what's his face? He and what's the difference between he and I think it was Mason Thomas.
Oh yeah.
Let's just put them both at all.
Like 15 pounds. That's like the only difference.
Yes, literally.
To be honest.
What's the difference between Chris Bell and Mason Thomas?
I think Chris Bell has longer arms.
Mason Thomas has the opposite problem where he's like a lot slower than he should be. Where Chris Bell is a lot faster than he should be.
Yeah.
But neither of them are my flavor.
Well,
Well,
not on my guys list.
no. My guys list. I'm excited to compile a my guys list.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I think I have
not my guys list.
yes, and I also have a not my guys list going as well. Well, that will wrap up episode 101. This is, like we said at the start, part 1 of the receiver breakdown because there are just so many to talk about, and we are going to talk about as many as we can. So we'll have a part 2 coming up as well. But if you enjoyed this one, you want to talk more draft box with prospects with us, Discord linked in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and we will see you in episode 102.